Hi, I'm Mandy Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Sagittarius for July 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my blog, and also if you would love to be an astrologer or a coach as your vocation, then check out my courses, which might still have some slots available. You can go to my website and then click on Work with Me, and you can see more details about those courses. So what's going on in the month of July? We've got the rumblings of the eclipses that are coming in August. No doubt you will be feeling them if you don't even already have manifestations occurring. As early as the end of June, you might start to see actual events and get actual news that are related to these eclipses that aren't coming till August. In August, I will do, for the August report, I'll do a more in-depth report as to how these eclipses might affect Sag specifically. But for now, I just want you to know that it's time for change, Sages in general do well with change because we get crazy bored when there isn't change and we tend to stir it up and create it anyway. If you notice in July, and this is more, it's different times of July in different years depending on what's going on with the planets, but we've got this emotional energy to move through with Cancer. So we could basically, for Sag, break up this the tone of July into two different tones. One is the water part, where we've got to deal with feelings and emotions. And that's, Sages are really good at talking about feelings and emotions, but unless you have other placements that make you more emotionally focused, Sages are more focusing on action, so we could talk about feelings, but not feel them as much. We think we're feeling them. And then all of a sudden they'll pile up and we're like, I'm feeling what's happening, So there's going to be a lot of feeling this month because the planets, personal planets, 3 of them are in Cancer. And for early, middle, and late degree placements, we're also going to have some, anywhere from a little to a lot, depending on your early, middle, or late, energy in the 8th house of Scorpio. So this is, a water sign in a water house. And that is watery, and that is emotional, and that is all about relationships, So home and family are going to be very strongly aspected. Psychology, psychological origins of issues can be aspected. You might be visiting family. You might be holed up focusing on family. You could be focused on a house or real estate matters. Many, many people are going to have real estate matters, housing questions, pending changes like that, standing right before their eyes to be worked with in July and the time to come. So we've got that water energy that doesn't flow as well naturally with the Sag. And then we have Venus is in Gemini, and that air energy fuels Sag. So this is a carryover from the energy we have been feeling with movement and action and things going on. There will no doubt be a lot of busyness that will continue into July. Then as the planets start to move into Leo, we really light up. So if you think back to July and August's gone by, especially if you have a bunch of planets in Sag, you'll feel this more the more planets you have in Sagittarius. I have like 9 placements in Sag, so I feel this very strongly. So the more planets you have, the stronger you'll feel Leo aspects lighting up your Sag placements, because when planets move into Leo, they start making trines, which are the most favorable aspect in all of astrology, to your Sag planets. And it's a very active energy, so it just sort of one by one will come through and light up all your Sag planets, whether it's your rising sign or whatever you have there. At some point during the time that the personal planets move through Leo, they're going to be making these trines to your Sag planets. So this is typically a big time for Sages. Things that you do usually work out in a big way. You get motivated to take on titanic efforts even more than usual and feel like you can do it, and it usually works out. So many a Sag is going to be working on a really big project at this time, and you'll have lots of energetic support. Now, it's possible that you've instigated this already, or it's possible that the eclipses will just bring you the project and then you'll be working on it. Think back to between 2008 and 2009. What was going on for you then? Because that is the last time that the eclipse cycle was in Leo and Aquarius. So the kinds of changes that were occurring for you then, what was happening? Were you changing jobs? Was your home sector affected? What was happening in your life Many people were having kids or things notable going on with children because of the Leo energy, things going on with Aquarius energy, friendships, social circles, things like that. But there's more, you know. You feel into what was happening for you at that time, and you'll get a good idea about the kind of changes that were coming. So if there were mild changes, maybe that will remain to be the same. If there were big changes, then that might be telling you that you're standing before some pretty big changes that the eclipses are going to bring. The eclipses tend to bring just massive change, and either you are a person experiencing the change, or you're looking around you saying, oh my gosh, what's going on? Everybody's going through so much, and then you're holding space for those people. Or you may find yourself going through changes and then also holding space for the people who are going through these changes. But change is definitely happening. So I'm calling the theme of the month for Sagittarius, feel the magic, because I want to get that energy of feeling in there rather than think the magic, you know, or talk about the magic, which is more what Sagittarius tend to do, but like really feel, really feel this, because you just have so much potential to, first of all, feel through things that have been holding you back. You know, I often talk about The Presence Process by Michael Brown. It's one of my favorite books. I think it's a great book for anybody, but especially people who tend to, you know, sublimate their feelings into action, like keep busy to not feel. You know I'm busting a lot of Sagittarius by saying, I see you being busy to stop from feeling, right? So this opportunity with the water energy will help you push through some things you've been avoiding, and that will make the potentials with the Leo energy burn even brighter, because you can bust through something that's holding you back and keeping you in a matrix. Okay, so feel the magic. So those are the things most on my mind for Sagittarius. Now I want to go into great detail about these general transits, because we've got this opening for launches through July 24th, and I want to talk about why that opening is there, when the opening closes, when it opens back up again, and the whole scheme of the next 18 months, why it's important to plan your launch dates and what dates you have to plan. So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk more about the eclipses. And then next month, I'll go into more detail about how the eclipses might hit you personally. But for now, just know that change is coming. So I want to break down the general transits for July 2017 that will affect all signs, and very dramatically, I might add at that, into 3 sections. One is talking about this opening we have still for most of July from the personal planets being retrograde or the shadow periods, and then place that opening in the scheme of the next year and a half to understand what we're looking at. The second is I want to talk about this theme of emotional integration and living in charge, which I'll get into more details about what that looks like. And the third is these eclipse changes that will no doubt be happening to so many people already here in July, even though the eclipses don't actually happen until August, because we can very often feel the rumblings or actually the straight up eclipse news start to come in 4 to 6 weeks before the eclipses. So that actually places us as early as the end of June for some eclipse related changes and news to start coming in. So we'll talk about all of that. So let's go in order. Placing our period of time in this this stretch, which had started in May and went all through June and runs through July 24th, which is a period of time that's free from personal planets being retrograde. Personal planets are the ones closest to us, and of them, the only ones that go retrograde are Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Whenever one of the personal planets are retrograde, it brings lots of opportunities that we don't have when they're retrograde, but it also brings lots of challenges that we don't focus on as much when they're direct. And in general, it's not the best time to launch things, to put new things out into the world. It's a better time to go backwards and inwards and try different things on and do short-term things of focus. But we do still have a stretch until July 25th where we don't have any personal planets retrograde or the shadow periods. So there will be some chances to take advantage of that this month, although there are lots of changes that are going to be coming to you. There are some dates that you can implement some things, which we'll get into. But understanding this general shadow period that's going to start from July 25th, we've got Mercury going retrograde again on August 13th. So between July 25th and August 13th, we have what's called a pre-shadow period. And that means it's like starting to get to where it's going to go retrograde. I always liken this shadow time to us driving in a car, going full speed, traffic is flowing well, and then we have to make a U-turn. You know, when you make a U-turn, you have to pretty much come to a complete stop to go around. And that's the energy that we experience, that awkwardness of slowing down, that awkwardness of having to wait until the other lane is clear and then getting up to speed again, etc. This process of a U-turn is very much like the experience we have of a retrograde planet. So after having this nice open period to do things from the end, middle to end of May into the end of July, we're starting every day as it gets closer to August 13th, just kind of putting the brakes on a little bit. And if we're not voluntarily doing it, the universe is bringing that to us. If we're trying to push forward, the brakes are going on anyway. So I learned, because I have Aries rising and a lot of fire in my chart, so I'm very action oriented. So when I learned about Mercury retrograde, I would try to do all the things that I might do in Mercury retrograde in the 3 weeks before Mercury retrograde, only to learn that shadow period can actually be just as intense in some ways and have the same kind of implications as the actual retrograde. So that's when I learned to really understand and obey the rules that go along with it. And you can check out my Mercury retrograde video to understand this transit better. I go into way more detail about the caveats and the ways you can use it and the things to avoid, etc. So then August 13th through September 5th, we have the Mercury retrograde cycle. Not the best time to launch new things, make big decisions, although it's fine for short-term things and things that have flexibility. Then from September 6th through September 20th, we have the Mercury retrograde shadow period. Again, the post-shadow period, with Mercury getting back up to speed by September 20th. So this window that occurs between September 21st and November 15th is our last open period of the year without any personal planet retrogrades or shadow periods. So if you are not able to slip your launches and your new things in the period of time before July 25th, then you do have another period of time this year between September 21st and November 15th to do that. But if you've got some big plans brewing that are not quite ready to bring out yet, you might want to light a fire under your butt to do it, because next year we've got a year of personal planet retrogrades again, similar to this year, but actually more intense, because from January 12th through March 7th of 2018, and then a short little 5 days or so in May of 2018, are the only times of 2018 that we don't have a personal planet retrograde, because we'll have multiple Mercury retrogrades in 2018, we'll have a Venus retrograde at the end of the year, we'll have a Mars retrograde that dominates a good portion of the year with its shadow periods, etc. So if you are trying to push things into motion, then you really want to take advantage of these opportunities to launch things. It's fine for business as usual, but things tend to slow down. So if you're feeling a little lazy and procrastinating, then knowing that this wall of retrogrades is coming starting March of 2018, so you want to take advantage of the time, up until July 24th, the time from September 21st to November 15th, and the time from January 12th through March 7th for your big decisions, your big launches. Okay, so there are quite a few challenging spots this month, but I always think that the challenging spots are what help us build character, they're what help us push through issues, they're what help us find those hidden blocks that are stopping us from living in our fullest. If everything is going really well and going smoothly, we're not always as inclined to do the inner and outer work that we need to do to push through the things that are keeping us within the matrix. So when you have a month like this month that is just full of challenged aspects, especially with personal planets in the sign of Cancer, because Cancer is an emotional energy. It's about home and family, and no doubt there will be lots of themes involving home and family, homes, real estate, going to see family, family coming to see you, family issues, family opportunities. It's just going to be very much about home and family. But there's a lot of challenging aspects with these personal planets in specifically Mercury, the Sun, and Mars in Cancer, conflicting with these other planets that are bringing, it's bringing up weak spots in your identity and yourself and your communication and your creative faculties and how you use your energy and the male sides of each person, the action-oriented sides of each person. So challenges will come and opportunities will come to clear up, to see and to strengthen those weak spots. There are also quite a few challenged points with Venus in Gemini. So that's going to make for a lot of wishy-washiness. You know, Venus rules love and beauty and money. So anything involving love and beauty and money, you're probably going to be flip-flopping back and forth, back and forth. So even though we technically have an open window to make decisions from the retrogrades, there are so many challenged planets that I don't love July as much for trying to push things forward unless things feel good, they're rolling, and you're okay and you're certain, and that's fine. That's why I like that window in June, especially the first 3 weeks of June, if you're listening to this early, for pushing things through, because once you get into July, there's just a lot of emotion. There's a lot of wishy-washiness. There's a lot of, weak spots being, poked at. And that's not always the best place to try to make big decisions from. So we've got this all over the place energy of Venus. So money stuff, things with your romantic life, just kind of being all over the place, whatever that winds up looking like for you. Now within all of that, we've got amazing aspects all throughout the month as well, interspersed with these challenged aspects. You can, when you sign up for my free email newsletter, if you go to anniehelpsyou.com and sign up for my free email newsletter, I write a monthly report with more details about the dates and the aspect and the the possible implications of those aspects. I write a detailed astrological write-up that I send you out a month before the month that it's current for, so that you can get more detail than I can always, I can't always go into all of that detail in the horoscopes, but you can pick up and supplement these videos with that newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. But I will give you a couple of highlights of the month. We've got if you've got to do something important, I really love July 18th and July 19th. There's some really great, a series of great aspects there that are not as interrupted in those couple of days by the challenges that are, before and after them. So that's my favorite window if you have to make a decision or push a last minute launch through. We've got the full moon on July 8th or 9th, depending on your time zone. And that's a full moon in Capricorn. So the full moon in Capricorn brings completion, fullness, fruition to something involving work or family or career, not family, work, father, Capricorn energy rules father energy, authority figures, career, something like that. So many people will become recognized for things. This could be a great recognition moon. There are some aspects with Pluto and Mars that could leave you feeling a little bit challenged and helpless, but then there's a nice aspect with Neptune that can bring a transcendental or intuitive upliftment from the situation. But either way, there's still just as much opportunity for a positive outcome from this full moon, but there are going to be some challenges that come along with it. We also have a new moon in Leo. Now this is the first of 2 new moons in Leo. Whenever we have 2 new moons in a sign, there's always a lot of power and a lot of focus on that energy. So Leo is a big story that we've got going on starting from the end of July. Then of course, that's our prelude to the solar eclipse that we have in August. So I am going to get to these eclipses because these are definitely the highlight of the general transits for this month. But just to understand the month, if you want to make wishes for your new moon, July 23rd is the time to do that. So you get 10 wishes according to brilliant astrologer Jan Spiller. You write them down, you say them out loud, you feel them as if they're coming true. If you're trying to change your life and be a conscious creator or creatrix in your life, don't pass up these new moon opportunities to make wishes, because the universe really does hear you. Sometimes it takes consistency. Sometimes you'll make a wish and you'll be like, oh my gosh, it came true. That's really cool. But a lot of times the universe has to do work with you, has to interface with you to help you become a vibrational match for that which you are wishing for. We can't get the things that we want unless we're a vibrational match for them. So if you're consistent with your wishing, the universe can implement the changes that need to happen in order for you to become a vibrational match. So take that opportunity on the 23rd for your new moon wishes, especially on the subjects of children, creative projects of any kind, musical projects, athleticism, anything if you're an athlete, romance, true love, pleasure, fun, hobbies, those are all highlights that will be becoming stronger in this time and the time to come. Okay, so let's talk about these eclipses. Okay, so the first eclipse is a full moon lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Aquarius that will happen on August 7th. Now, a reminder as to why I'm talking about the August eclipses in the July report. Eclipses are very, very, very powerful events. And the implications don't just occur on the day that they happen. You very often, and I see this happen all the time, I've been tracking this for many years, will see news events, very prominent events, happen related to the eclipse up to 4 to 6 weeks before the actual eclipse. So that puts this lunar eclipse active time starting at the end of June. So I will go into way more detail for each sign as to what these eclipses might look like for you personally in the August report. But for now, I'm going to talk about the general implications of the Aquarius-Leo eclipses. So in general, a lunar eclipse removes some aspect of life, or basically it changes it, it takes it away. It closes it, it ends it. So there's closure, something notable coming, having to do with Aquarius energy, which can be your work within a group, working for a large organization, a humanitarian effort, a friendship, something involving acquaintances or social circles, internet-based projects, something where you're leading a group of people, anything having to do with technological advances, technology that you use for whatever this project is. So you'll likely see something ending or shifting with your relationship with those things, or just a straight up ending, like an ending of a friendship, or a friend moves away, or you leave a certain circle, or you lose resonance with a group that you had resonance with. So the full moons tend to be, or the full moon eclipses tend to be like a full moon, but in triplicate. So this closing, this ending, this completion, the drama, very often there's drama at a full moon. All of that can be multiplied by 3. So, it's pretty intense. These are major monumental things. Now, the best way you can understand this eclipse set, this Leo Aquarius eclipse set that started at 2017, in the beginning of 2017 and runs into 2019, is to remember what was going on in your life between 2008 and 2009. That is the last time that we experienced the Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle. So if you remember the changes that happened there, the areas of life that were affected the most, those are the areas of life that are being brought right back into the forefront. So, think about that, and then you'll start to see where the changes will likely affect you. And again, like I said, I'll go into that in more details in the August report for your sign. But this is the general experience. So then on the 23rd of August, there is the solar eclipse. It's the second new moon in Leo, except it's a solar eclipse. And that's out at close to 29 degrees of Leo. And that brings in new energy. So what we're basically doing here is we're shuffling energy around between Leo and Aquarius. Aquarius has to do with the group. Leo has to do with the individual. Aquarius has to do with the society and what is good for the group and what everybody needs and what everybody thinks. And Leo has to do with what the individual needs, what the individual thinks, what the individual does. So you're taking energy away from what people think you should do and placing it in your own court again. It's your creative interests, your children, your romance, your pleasure, your fun, your way of doing things, your leadership is getting this focus at this time of this point in the eclipse cycle. So lots of new open windows occurring there, because again, the new moon solar eclipse is like a new moon in triplicate. So when we talk about new moon energy of something new opening, a new chapter opening, that's times 3 with the solar eclipse. And you can start to see what that new opening is going to look like in July. Or as soon as, 6 weeks before. Yeah, so pretty much July is when those changes are likely to start coming in. So depending on how these eclipses are hitting in your personal chart will make the difference between how you experience them. But you'll definitely notice that twice a year when we have these major eclipse cycles, you're either the one experiencing profound change, or you're watching other people go through these crazy things and you're like, oh gosh, what's going on? What's going on is the eclipses. And so you're either going to be the one experiencing massive change, or you're going to be the one holding space for the other people, and you might find yourself doing a little bit of both. So those are the things that are most relevant for the month for July, for the general transits. If you are interested in learning astrology, check out my astrology apprenticeship program. There might be some slots open still by the time you're watching this. Also, if you'd like to be a coach as your work, as your profession, and do your business online, you can check out my coach certification course and online business course, which I have as a dual enrollment, and there might still be some slots available there. That is a very long course, so I don't have an opening for that very often. So if you're interested in that, then definitely jump on it. If you are into tarot, definitely go to I Am Helios, IAMHELIOS. I'll probably put a link somewhere under here to check out my husband's amazing monthly tarot report that's starting in July. So you can get some other pictures and some points and some things to understand to make the most use of the energy in this month. And his name is VR Newman. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month.